In 1972, a movie appeared that permanently shifted American film. The Godfather wasn't only about reshaping gangster stories, it redefined cinema itself. It altered how films were produced, promoted, and remembered. Yet behind this classic lies a tale far more remarkable than what audiences saw. Right now, we're exposing the long-buried truths the cast and crew kept for years. The studio that nearly ruined its own project, mobsters who oversaw filming, actors whose lives were threatened, and the shocking fact that iconic moments were never scripted. Many believe they know The Godfather, but Brando, Pacino, Khan, and others eventually revealed the perilous reality behind its creation, from death threats left in the director's hotel to actual killings linked to production. The risks were real. This was never ordinary filmmaking. It became a dangerous dance with the underworld it portrayed. Francis Ford Coppola once admitted, "Had I known the risks, I may never have agreed to direct." Hearing his words, you'll see why this movie can never look the same again. Behind the curtain was Paramount's war with Coppola. Studio leaders didn't merely question his vision, they tried to crush it. "They set me up to collapse," Coppola says, his anger still sharp after 50 years. Daily shouting matches, constant firing threats, spies on set reporting to executives, Paramount demanded a shallow crime flick. Coppola wanted a sweeping American epic. The conflict started even before filming began. Producer Al Ruddy recalls the insultingly small budget, just $2 million, for a sprawling period drama with dozens of characters. Impossible numbers designed to force compromise. Every Coppola choice was vetoed. His dark operatic style, rejected. Too dark, nobody will see a thing, mocked producer Robert Evans. Casting became the biggest battlefield. Executives pushed Robert Redford or Ryan O'Neal for Michael Corleone, chasing box office names. Coppola stood unshaken. Pacino is Michael Corleone. The reply? Absolutely not. Too short, too unknown. Brando's case was even worse. Box office poison, the executives declared. Difficult, unreliable, overweight. Coppola argued he's the finest actor alive. The compromise was harsh. Brando had to audition, work unpaid, and post a $1 million bond against delays. Then came the sabotage. Assistant director Fred Ross remembers executives calling Coppola mid-scene with fake budget crises, sending clashing orders to crew and scheduling impossible days, then blaming him for falling behind. They even kept a list of replacement directors on the table during meetings. Cinematographer Gordon Willis recalls seeing names circled in red, a cruel intimidation tactic. The editing war grew brutal. They wanted a 90-minute B-movie, editor Walter Murch said. "We delivered 3 hours of epic cinema. Executives threatened to seize the reels and recut it themselves." Coppola's secret weapon? Shooting 2 versions, one fake for daily studio reviews and the real one for his final cut. The stress was crushing. "I fought for my vision while pretending to yield," Coppola admitted. He lost weight, developed ulcers, and feared he'd never direct again. And in the final insult, Paramount advertised the movie with no director credit at all, erasing his name from history before release. But Coppola's nightmare wasn't only the studio. A darker presence hovered over the shoot, the real Mafia. Producer Al Ruddy confessed, "We weren't simply filming about the mob, we were filming under their approval, or else." Trouble began even before cameras rolled, when mob boss Joseph Colombo Sr. and the Italian-American Civil Rights League announced a boycott. They claimed it was about stereotypes, but the real threat was obvious. "Welcome to our territory. Our approval is what you require." The producer, Ruddy, accepted a summons he simply couldn't decline. They arranged a meeting with real mob emissaries at the Park Sheraton Hotel, notorious for gangland killings. Inside, 5 figures sat in silence. They offered no formal greetings. A single man warned, "We're familiar with the manuscript. Don't dare put it on screen," he added. Even now, Ruddy's voice tightens at the recollection. It wasn't a plea, but an order. The filmmakers struck a dangerous bargain. Producers promised the script would avoid the words Mafia and Cosa Nostra in the screenplay. The threat of a boycott vanished by morning. Next, technical advisors began arriving. They were men with no film credits, but intimate knowledge of mob operations who started appearing on set. They would point out nuances. They noted how the Don positions his hands while issuing commands. Actor James Caan remembers how soldiers displayed deference. These weren't suggestions, but demands. Multiple cast members reported mysterious late-night warnings. The callers would say they were just checking we were being portrayed respectfully, never giving their names. Identification wasn't necessary. The scene with the horse head attracted special attention. Once we'd filmed it, a visitor pulled me aside privately. Coppola recalls the moment. He told me, "That's not how we handle it." Yet he admitted it worked dramatically for the film. The casual tone, as if from experience, sent a chill through my bones. Actual danger visited us while filming in Little Italy. We were filming the scene in which Sollozzo and McCluskey are murdered. Al Pacino later recounted the incident. Between takes, a man leaned over and whispered, "That very scene happened at a table nearby." His remark wasn't about the book. He meant a real assassination. The production office received photographic warnings, images of crew entering their homes, climbing into cars, escorting their children to school. There were no notes attached. None were necessary. The most terrifying moment came while shooting the baptism murder montage. We filmed that brutal montage of killings, recalls editor Walter Murch. That very week, an identical pattern of murders occurred in the borough. The sequence and methods matched so closely, it felt like someone was using our script as inspiration or a warning that they knew our shooting. A real mob hit took place 3 blocks from our Little Italy set. We were shooting Michael's restaurant sequence. Assistant director Fred Roos recalls, "Gunshots rang out nearby. Everyone froze. Police sprinted past our set toward the actual crime location. The irony felt overwhelming. Even Joseph Colombo Sr., the mob boss who had first opposed the film, then negotiated with producers, was shot in public while the movie was in post-production. It was a hit that eerily mirrored scenes we'd recently shot." Coppola says quietly, "We weren't merely inventing fiction." He adds, "We danced with the powers we portrayed, and they were watching every move." The actors underwent profound transformations. Making The Godfather didn't merely alter careers. The production fundamentally changed its actors, blurring the line between performance and reality in unsettling forms. Brando's metamorphosis started with physical changes, dental work, hair dye, facial padding, but evolved into something more profound. Robert Duvall recalls, "He stopped seeing Marlon on set. He vanished entirely into the role of Vito. Between takes, he refused to drop the persona. He continued offering advice, settling disputes, and accepting respect, not as Marlon, but as Vito Corleone." The crew started treating Brando with the deference the script demanded. On set, people literally kissed his hand between scenes, cinematographer Gordon Willis reveals, not in jest, but from genuine respect. The authority he projected changed the mood of the entire production. For Al Pacino, the transformation proved even more intense and hazardous. Pacino remembers being a theater actor, unknown and insecure, far from Michael Corleone. Pacino's evolution paralleled his character's journey. As Michael shifted from innocent outsider to cold-blooded Don, I felt myself change, Pacino confesses. Suddenly my walk altered and my voice lowered. I grew quieter, more watchful, and more threatening. The psychological toll was heavy. Pacino reports he couldn't sleep. He suffered panic episodes. He began to feel isolated from the cast, just as Michael becomes isolated from his kin. Art reflected life, and life reflected art, creating a terrible cycle. James Caan's immersion as Sonny caused other troubles. "I grew too comfortable with anger," Caan admits. "After filming Sonny's violent scenes, I couldn't shake it. I got into bar fights and had confrontations on the streets. The character's anger followed me into my life." This spillover produced real repercussions. During the scene where Sonny beats Carlo on the street, Caan actually broke improv actor Johnny Russo's ribs and chipped his arm. "I wasn't acting anymore," Caan admits. "It was just pure Sonny." The toll reached beyond the production. "My first marriage collapsed during filming," Caan admits. "I brought Sonny's volatility home. I couldn't leave it at work." John Cazale's transformation into Fredo was perhaps the most unsettling. Cazale uncovered Fredo's weakness, his desperate need to matter. Pacino recalls of his close companion. "That opened a pain he never fully closed afterwards. Even supporting cast members weren't spared." Richard Castellano, who played Clemenza, began receiving genuine respect from Little Italy residents during production. They would nod to him and defer to him in eateries. Coppola remembers that the line between fiction and reality blurred for all. Robert Duvall, as Tom Hagen, began being approached by people seeking real counsel. They no longer saw Robert, recalls recalls casting director Fred Rose. People saw the consigliere, the trusted advisor figure. Perhaps most revealing was Pacino's experience after the film's debut. Actual wise guys would approach him in eateries, he reveals, whispering, "You're not Michael, but you understand the part. You belong with us now." That wasn't comforting. It was chilling. The actors stopped being performers of mobsters. For authenticity, they had to absorb the mindset, the rules, the worldview. And that immersion didn't vanish once the filming ended. "We carried parts of those men inside us," Pacino recalls, "and they carried parts of us away." The Godfather's secret visual storytelling. Its imagery speaks as much as its words, a hidden grammar most audiences sense rather than identify. Each shot tells two layers, says cinematographer Gordon Willis, the obvious events and the unseen battles for control beneath. The film's signature darkness wasn't decoration, but narrative precision. "I chose to underexpose deliberately," Willis insists. Paramount executives raged. "We can't see their faces." That was the idea. These men exist in spiritual darkness. Even they can't see their own humanity. The blackness deepens as Michael's soul corrodes. Early moments with Kay glow with light. The wedding shines in daylight, notes production designer Dean Tavares. By the conclusion, Michael is engulfed in shadow, his humanity nearly gone. The ominous overhead angles hold symbolic weight. Viewed from above, characters are judged, Coppola explains. Sometimes divine, sometimes familial, sometimes by fate, the gaze of ultimate authority falling upon them. Faces and eyes reveal coded meanings. Who receives frontal close-ups versus profile framing? Willis says full face signals honesty, clarity. A side view suggests deceit, a hidden truth. When Michael drifts from frontal to profile, it charts his moral decay. Oranges foreshadow every deaf and bloody turn. The orange on Vito's desk when he's gunned down. The peel in Waltz's drink before the horse head. Oranges scattering as Vito falls. Set decorator Philip Smith confirms deliberate signs of death. Doorways and thresholds embody transition. Characters framed inside them stand at moral crossroads, Coppola explains. Watch the closing image. Kay stares as the door shuts on Michael, sealing their separation forever. Cinema's most devastating door frame. The set design mirrors hierarchies of control. Low ceilings trap the powerless, Tavares notes. Expansive rooms shelter the mighty. Vito's office combines both, intimacy within an endless dark void, power wrapped in false warmth. Windows divide realities. Characters speak while gazing out, Willis observes. They're torn between family and the outside world. Their divided loyalty becomes visible. Even the camera motion speaks. Early scenes are steady, conventional, says operator Michael Chapman. As Michael falls deeper, the visuals splinter. Handheld shots, tilted frames, the moral fabric collapsing. Religious symbols twist into irony. The baptism killings contrast sacred vows with profane slaughter. Coppola clarifies, the editing wasn't just tension building, it exposes Michael's hypocrisy. Even the aspect ratio was weaponized. We chose 1.85 to 1 instead of widescreen Panavision. Willis says it created compression, suffocation. These people are imprisoned by bloodlines, duty, and choices. The frame itself became their cage. A masterclass in visual narration. Michael's gaze mirrors Al's performance, says editor Walter Murch. At first alert, reactive, alive. By the finale, lifeless, watchful, sealed. His eyes, the soul's windows, are shuttered. This hidden language drives the film's haunting force. You don't need to track these devices, Coppola insists. Your mind registers them. That's why the film lingers. It bypasses logic, striking the subconscious. The unscripted moments that define the legend. The unforgettable Godfather scenes weren't in the draft, but born from luck, tension, and raw instinct. Brando petting the cat in the opening was pure chance. A stray wandered in, recalls assistant director Fred Rose. Marlon casually picked it up, stroking it mid-rehearsal. No direction, no plan. Coppola instantly saw the genius. The irony was perfect. A feared Don, tender with a stray, while ordering brutal justice. We filmed it then and there. The line that became immortal, "I'll make him an offer he can't refuse," was just filler in the script. Coppola admits it was almost throwaway. Production was already underway. Brando's casual menace, the whisper, whisper, the shrug. He made it iconic. All him. James Caan's choices redefined Sonny. Written as simply hot-headed, Caan adds, I made him restless, cracking knuckles, full of animal energy. Sonny became a predator in a cage, not just a temperamental son. The restaurant assassination was reinvented live. Al struggled to show Michael's torment. Coppola recalls, I told him, imagine train sounds growing louder in your head. That wasn't written. We layered the sound later, but Pacino used it instantly. His eyes shifted, Coppola says. You saw the civil man breaking into a killer. The close-up of Michael's face as the noise swells became the defining image. The hospital sequence where Michael protects Vito was born of necessity. We lost the location, Coppola explains. We had to shoot in a narrow real corridor. That forced the suspense of empty halls and vanished guards, an improvised solution. Clemenza's line, leave the gun, take the cannoli, came half from actor Richard Castellano. The page only said leave the gun, he revealed. I added the dessert line, calling back his wife's request. That contrast of ordinary and deadly was pure instinct. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Michael's striking K mid-argument was never rehearsed. Not in the draft, says Diane Keaton. Al did it in the moment. My shock on screen is real. It crystallized their broken bond in an unscripted instant. Lenny Montana's nervousness as Luca Brasi wasn't acted. It was his true fear, meeting Brando. Lenny came from wrestling, not acting. Coppola explains he was deeply afraid of ruining his scene with Brando. He kept drilling his lines, only getting more anxious. I noticed this and drafted a fresh moment, showing Brasi rehearsing his words, channeling his real tension into character depth. The entire unseen fruit vendor scene grew out of a lighting holdup. Daylight was slipping for the Sonny beats Carlo sequence, recalls cinematographer Gordon Willis. During the wait, James Caan began riffing with the man cast as the fruit seller. Their back and forth, with Sonny tossing him money after wrecking his stand, gave Sonny an unexpected touch of humanity. Most crucially, Vito Corleone's death scene shifted because of Brando's instinct. The script only described a plain death. Coppola shares that Marlon proposed, what if he's playing with his grandson, using an orange peel smile to amuse him, passing away in joy instead of solemnity. That choice birthed one of film's most touching farewells. The strength lay in returning to innocence at life's end. The magic of this picture lies in what wasn't planned, Coppola reflects. Our script was the guide, but the heart of The Godfather came alive when cameras rolled and sparks of inspiration appeared. The impact that remade Hollywood forever. When The Godfather opened in 1972, it wasn't just a triumph. It transformed American cinema and rewired Hollywood's hierarchy. The Monday after its debut, everything was different. Producer Robert Evans recalls, directors weren't just employees anymore. They were visionaries now. Overnight, power had shifted. The numbers proved unstoppable. $86 million at home, $246 million worldwide. The top-grossing film ever then. The same studio heads who fought me suddenly claimed credit, Coppola says with a thin grin. The very men blocking every decision now called themselves the masterminds of a classic. Its success gave rise to the director-driven Hollywood of the 70s. Before The Godfather, studios ran the show, says Peter Biskin. Afterward, filmmakers like Scorsese, Spielberg, Lucas, and Friedkin gained unmatched authority. A new American wave had arrived. For the actors, the shift was instant and lasting. I went from nobody to star in a night, Pacino remembers. He couldn't walk streets freely. He couldn't dine in peace. Life as he knew it was over. James Caan found himself trapped in typecasting. For years, I only got hothead gangster roles, he admits. Casting people couldn't unsee him as Sonny. Marlon Brando's revival was the most striking. He rose from box office poison to demanding $3 million for 10 minutes in Superman, notes historian David Thompson. That was The Godfather's force. Robert Duvall puts it simply, before the film, we were just actors. After, we were legends. Its cultural reach stretched far beyond ticket sales. The movie reshaped how Americans thought about organized crime, says writer Gay Talese. Until then, mob stories were either romanticized or reduced to simple morality. Coppola exposed the Mafia as America's capitalist reflection, family firms guarding their stakes at any cost. The script's language became part of everyday speech. Going to the mattresses, sleeping with the fishes, make him an offer he can't refuse. use. These phrases turned into cultural shorthand, but maybe most importantly, it changed how ethnicity was shown on screen. Before this, Italians were buffoons with pizza, or flat criminals, says Scorsese. Coppola gave them depth, humanity, tragedy, without excusing their sins. The film's production methods became Hollywood's new template: real locations, natural light, authentic violence, and perfect period detail, recalls Gordon Willis. A fresh visual grammar was born that countless movies still copy. For Paramount, it was survival. The studio had been at the bottom before The Godfather, notes historian Tom Shales. Afterward, they ruled the decade with The Godfather 2, Chinatown, Nashville. The film revived the company. Oscars for Best Picture, Best Actor, Brando, and Best Adapted Screenplay legitimized the new Hollywood, rising from the studio system's ruins. Coppola, once nearly fired, now held rare power. "For a short time, I made exactly the films I wanted," he recalls. That freedom brought The Godfather 2, Apocalypse Now, my life's defining work. Yet inside that victory was a warning. The movie's triumph also birthed the blockbuster obsession that crushed the creative freedom it first enabled, critic Andrew Saris notes. Studios copied profits, not risks. For those involved, the film stands as a peak never matched again. "We were young, desperate, and against the odds," Pacino reflects. That's where the magic came from. Half a century later, its grip only grows stronger. "When people mention perfect movies," Coppola says, "they return to this one, not because it's flawless, but because it feels destined, like it always existed, waiting to be found." The strangest twist, the executives who tried to kill it may have preserved their legacies through it. Long after their corporations fade, says Scorsese, The Godfather will still be seen, still studied, still felt. That's not just success, it's immortality. The deal none of us could turn down. And so ends our journey into the hidden story of The Godfather. From near studio sabotage to the Mafia's shadow over production. From actors risking their sanity to improvised scenes that became legend. These truths reshape how we see this masterpiece. What makes it endure isn't just the craft or the cast, it's the storm of chance that forged it. A director defending his vision, actors uncovering new depths, and real-life power games mirroring those on screen. Making The Godfather was its own saga of loyalty, family, and sacrifice. He built his own loyal circle, who fought with him against endless pressure. He navigated real dangers, as tangled as the Corleones. He gave up health, safety, and peace for his art. The film proves great art is born from struggle, from holding integrity against compromise. Its existence is a triumph of vision over control, a shift that forever reshaped Hollywood. If you valued this look into cinema's greatest creation, hit like and subscribe for more hidden histories behind classics that shaped culture. We reveal what others leave untold. What's your favorite Godfather moment? Has this glimpse changed your view of it? Share in the comments below. Next, we'll uncover the untold making of another 70s icon. Sabotage, disasters, and miracles behind a film once thought impossible. Don't miss it. Thanks for joining us. And remember, in Hollywood, as in life, the truth hides beneath the surface. That's where the real story lives.